Forge. Welcome to 10 Questions, my friend.
Dude, Jimmy, thanks for having me. I'm really excited. I know the defects went. You got a couple of them before me, but this is. I'm finally here. Finally,
Well, guy, I like to think that I saved the best for last.
I like the way you think, my man. I like the
You
way you
like
think.
that? Yeah. After meeting Matt and Jay, I clearly you're the better one. So I mean, we had to keep you to the very end.
Don't tell them. Don't tell them. You'll ruin the whole thing, man.
All right, guy, let's just jump into this thing, baby. So the first question is always the same on 10 questions. What or who got you into comics?
Oh man, that's a story for the ages. I grew up in upstate New York, and we didn't really have a lot of access to a lot of like comic book shops. Um, and we owned a little diner, so I really didn't have access to go anywhere either. I went from school to work, so I was working a lot at a young age, but that's what we were doing. So I saw this advertisement on the back of a cereal box, and it was for Silver Surfer, and it was like a mail-in thing. And I asked my dad, I said, "Yo," I said, this looks so cool. It's a mail-in thing. Can I do it? You needed obviously to pay something, and I didn't. I wasn't signing up as a kid. I was like, I want to do this. It's a mail-in thing, and you get like a subscription, and they send comic books to you. So he said, yeah, sure. I would literally get the Silver Surfer comic book to my mailbox, which was across the lawn, and I knew when it was coming, so I would run across the lawn to go get it. And it was like the greatest thing. And this thing, let me tell you how things got shipped. This thing came in like a paper bag, all crunched up. If you ever saw this, you would freak out, like anyone would, any comic collector. Like it wasn't, it was rolled up. But I didn't care. I was a kid. It was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Um, so that really got it started, and obviously went crazy from there. But
So was it a lifelong thing for you? Like you always collected, even since you were a kid, or you like the rest of us and you took your break?
Oh, I took a break. I took a big break. Yeah, it was I probably longer than a lot of people. Um, you know, After some years of getting older and being interested in sports and girls, things got a little bit, away from the comic books. Especially then, you get even older and you go to college, and then you experience girls and drinking and all different kinds of fun, and then you're really not thinking about comic books, and
No,
then
you're not.
you get to have the idea of. I think really the movies brought me back. Let's put it that way. The movies brought it back, and then full steam. My little cousin, who I got into comic books, Maddie Forge, brought me back into comic books. So it was like full circle. You know what I mean?
Right. No, and I think that's for a lot of us. I mean, I think that's the same. I know for me, my kids got older. They didn't want to hang out with me anymore. And, my wife and my girls, they like to shop all the time. And I hate to shop like worse than anything in the world. Like, I'm a pretty nice guy for the most part, but you take me to a mall and I become a different person. Like, my personality just changes. So, what I would do is instead of, when the kids were little, I'd chase them around and do all that. And that was fine. They got bigger. They want to kind of walk around. They're peeping out boys. They're doing their thing. I would go look at comic books, and it kind of brought me back into it. And I was watching all the movies and all that. So yeah, I think I'm very much the same in that the movies I think did that for a lot of us. Kind of brought that nostalgia back, which we'll talk about later. But that nostalgia of things that we did as kids really kind of came rushing back with the movies.
Well, it put what we had in our heads and the only thing we could think of and create ourselves in front of us on screen. So it's like it was crazy. It was like a reality, like bringing things like I never thought it would happen. It was just the imagination of what we conceived ourselves up here, and that was like the greatest thing ever, because you're like, oh my god, this is so cool. I'm creating the voices that you hear from the writing, right? You hear
Right.
voices in your head, and you're like, this is how it should sound. This is what Thanos should sound like. This is what like. And later in life you get to go, oh my god, they got it right. Like it's crazy.
No, absolutely. I know one of the biggest highlights for me, and I know a lot of people, especially with the success of the MCU, I'm more of a DC person.
Hmm.
And the first time I saw the Justice League on screen together, I mean, I was just like, it just like mind blowing. I was just so happy, even though, which a lot of people hate the original Justice League. I was fine with it. I don't take things too serious. I was fine. Now, Snyder Cut to me was far, far better. But just seeing that on screen, like you said, how in our imagination, how this thing was supposed to be and how it would sound, to just see it on the big screen was just so cool.
It's a culmination of your childhood, like right in front of you. Like
It,
it's so cool.
yeah, no, it really is. So I actually had this question a little further down, but it's something you said when you kind of started that last answer. I want to make this question too. So during the holidays, you were actually on your IG account, you were posting some pictures of food.
Oof.
And I wondered, first off, did you prepare any of that food? Or was this stuff you bought? I mean, I'm sure you poured the
Some of it,
beer.
but most of the stuff is prepared family. That's my sister, my mom, my wife. Like, it, we're big. We're Italian, man. We like to eat.
Well, that was kind of my thing. You said that you guys owned a restaurant or a shop, and you were
Yeah.
working at a young age.
Yeah, so we owned a little, like, it was called Tony's Snack Bar, up in the Catskills, up in upstate New York. My dad ran it. Me and my sister worked there. My mother, obviously. Anybody who came up to visit, when we put them to work, so that was like that was like the thing. They knew that they were coming up there. They knew they were working. It was a little place. We had a counter in the front. I went around the whole thing. Short order cook. Whatever we could do. We had 32 flavors of Hershey's ice cream. You don't get looking like this without eating. So,
I feel you, baby.
um,
That's like that's I excel at those holidays. I excel at Thanksgiving.
there's nothing. And I think it's obviously from the culture and from the background I come from. We're about food is part of our life. Food is part of our heritage. I'm looking for the right word, but I think it's just part of our culture. Like, we feel food. We live through food. So it's like, when and you know what? It's a good thing because our family spends time together because of food. So it's like it all comes through, and it's like, we not only do we love to eat, but we love, to create the food and everything like that. My sister has learned from my grandparents, from my parents, from my aunts, like, and she's has her own take on things too, and she's the best out of them all. So it's crazy.
Well, it's funny that you say that. You being in upstate New York and me being in the hills of Eastern Kentucky, food is a big part of our lives because it's very traditional. We're in the Bible Belt. Sunday dinner is a big
Oof.
thing. I mean, to this day, we still have Sunday dinner every Sunday, and you're right. There's something about the food, and I guess it's having the family there too. But it means a lot to us too. And my grandmother used to tell me all the time. Both my grandmas were like this. They grew up really, really poor. It was during the Depression. They grew up poor. And my grandmothers always were like, have you had enough to eat? Always. Was that kind of the same thing in your family? Was that like your grandmother?
Yeah, and it goes further than that because my mother was the oldest out of eight when she came over from. Both my parents were born in Italy, and my mother was the oldest out of eight children. So she came over when she was 16. She had a little rougher time than my dad. He came over when he was two, so
Oh,
a
yeah.
little easier for him. But coming over at 16 and having to go to work and not knowing the language and not knowing, it was rough. It was rough, but she's a successful, strong woman. I'll tell you that much. So,
Oh, yeah. No, my grandmother's, I said, I'll never, I mean, as long as I live, I'll never forget walking into my grandma's house and saying, "Hey, Gran, I'm starving. Do you have any food?" And she's like, "Go in there and sit down, baby, watch TV." 20 minutes later, there'd be a 5-course meal on the table. I don't know how she did that.
yeah,
Um,
we don't know how they do it, but they do it, man.
oh, they do it, man. I would just grub down. So, you know, uh, being here in Kentucky, right? Like we have Italian restaurants and things like that. But what is true Italian food? Like, what's the perfect Italian meal?
Wow. Ugh. That's tough. I'm a big pasta guy, and I've been laying off pasta for a while. I don't really eat a lot of it anymore. But I'll still have the cheat meal with the pasta because pasta is just our thing, man. I'm a big carbonara guy. Like carbonara is my favorite. My mother makes a sick bolognese sauce that my wife devours. She loves it. My wife's like 80 pounds soaking wet, and like she'll eat anybody under the table. She's a champ. But pasta's our thing, man. Any pasta. My mother's chicken cutlets. You want to really get technical? Like I can go down the line, man, and we can figure it out together. But it's there's nothing better. Let's put it this way. Nothing better, and you said it yourself, but I'll take it to a different like angle. Nothing better than Sunday sauce.
Oh yeah.
Okay, Sunday sauce is the best. And it's not gravy. I don't care what they say. Anyone calling it gravy, get the hell out of here. Put them in the bathroom. As we say, put them in the bathroom. It nothing better than Sunday sauce. You have as a kid smelling that and like from down the hall, smelling that sauce and the meatballs and the sausage and the brajol that's all inside that sauce cooking for like 5-6 hours, slow cooking in there. I know you know about slow cooking,
Oh
maybe
yeah,
other stuff,
absolutely.
but slow cooking this sauce. And then you know what? As a kid, reaching up and like distracting my mother or having my sister distract her while I ran in there with a piece of Italian bread and just dipped it in that pot and ran because she was running after me with a wooden spoon. But
Been there.
I got the sauce, bro.
Absolutely, man. No, I love that. I'm gonna have to come up and eat on
Anytime you
Sunday
want.
dinner with you
Anytime you
guys.
want.
No, because I know like Eastern Kentucky, it's country folk, like the meal, right? Like the meal is like soup, beans, cornbread, fried potatoes, sauerkraut, just that kind of stuff. And then during hunting season, when my grandfathers would hunt, they would come in with deer, and there would be squirrel gravy and
Well,
rabbit stew and
we're big. We come from a hunters also, so like we grew up that way, and they whatever they killed, we ate. So let's not get me into the stories of the rabbits that used to be my pets, and we ate them. So
Oh, I used to come home from school and I would go at my grandmother's, which was actually where I'm sitting right now. Her house sat here. That's where my house is now.
beautiful.
And I would come up and there would be rabbits nailed to the tree, and you would know that the stew's getting ready to be on.
Dude,
And I would be so happy. And I'm like, Granny, and she said, "Honey, I was waiting on you." I was like,
this
"Oh,
is
I love
this
it."
is this is sort of a comic book show, so I don't want to get into the stories of all the dead animals, but I'm there. I understand.
Yes, we're right here. We're simpatico. We understand
Yes,
each other.
yes.
I love it. All right, man. So, question 3, and this is another one I was actually going to save for later in the show, but I can't wait. So, a little behind baseball, or
Yeah.
behind the scenes here. I have to record this show because of my work schedule. So, Guy and I are meeting. Uh, what is today? Wednesday. It's Wednesday evening. The Defects just finished up, and you guys had a guest on tonight, Eva Long. I got to know how that relationship became to be.
Oh, that's I don't know if we can disclose that on this channel. No, it's we had a it started off with a cameo, to be honest. So it was a cameo that we had reached out. We were trying to figure out um how to spice things up a little bit. And it was a cameo that we reached out, and let's just put it this way, that the defects and Eva hit it off from Jump Street. So it was a match made in heaven. She is the queen defect. She brings so much cool stuff to what we do. Not only what people think and what people are hoping for, but let's talk about how like she's a comic book fanatic. Like
Yeah.
she's a big Joker fan. If you guys watch the show, you understand. But she's just cool people. She's really cool people. She's down to earth. She's a lot of fun, and everybody seems to have fun with her. So
No, she seemed really cool. And the cover that she showed off tonight on the show was sick. I mean, like, that was so cool.
yeah, Sketch Card Girl, another artist that like again stuff we like to do on the show. We like to bring out artists that maybe people don't know about and bring them on and talk about stuff. And Jay does a great job at finding people too. Um, just she does awesome work, and she created that cover for her, and it was her on the cover with Jared Leto, Joker. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was dope for sure. So who was the cameo for? Was it for Jay or Matt? Who, like,
No, it was for our show. It was for the
oh, I got you.
defects. So it was for you guys.
We thank you, Guy Force. Thank you.
No problem. We listen. The defects are like a giving family. You know, we like to spread the love.
No, absolutely, man. All right. So, question four, we were kind of talking about the art here, and I understand that you are somewhat of an artist or enjoy, dabbling in the art scene. So, is that what draws you to comic books more so than a story? Because I know Jay's a big story guy. So, and I'm sure everybody enjoys the stories, but does the art really speak to you in the books?
I think so. I think first off, that's where I connect to stuff. Again, I'm a big movie guy. The comics started it with the artwork. That was the crazy stuff when I saw those Silver Surfer and I saw Thanos and I saw just like how they depicted it in a book, and then obviously I went bonkers with McFarlane and Spider-Man. I'm showing my age right now, but that's when that stuff came out, and it goes from there. Alex Ross, Jim Lee, like all these guys that like Delato, like all these things that like I studied art. I went to college for art. I did graphic design. I still dabble in stuff. I don't have enough time to do it like I want to. So maybe I could be better if I had the time, but life gets in the way sometimes.
So, what do you do? Do you draw? Do you paint? Is it more graphic art? Like, what's your kind
Both.
of?
I draw. It takes me a lot longer to draw like simple things, but I get it out. But the graphics I've done all my life since I was a kid. My art teachers saw that I enjoyed something, and they kind of just let me go, which was a cool thing. I had an art teacher. She was awesome, and she saw I was in class and I was like interested in graphics and everything like that. And she just let me leave class and go to the graphics room, and she goes, just bring me something back that you did. And I'm like, okay.
All right.
So
yeah.
like I just dabble on a computer, and Photoshop has been my baby since I was like 17. So that's a long time. So
Something that's always kind of, because like I can draw a little bit, right? Like I can draw, but I have to be looking at something. And I guess that you would call that more copying. Like I can look at something and I can draw it. And it looked pretty similar to, the original piece.
nice.
But I've never been able to like dream something up in my head and then put it on paper. Can you do that? I mean, I don't know if there's maybe, people have different talents, but is that something you can do, or do you have to look at something?
No, with a computer, I might be able to, just because I do, and I love doing like all our promos and stuff like that, and throwing stuff up and creating some stuff. When you see a finished promo like on our Instagram, advertising for something or telling a show that's coming out, I love doing that. And there's a lot of stuff that's involved in that, rather than like what you see the final picture of. You know what I mean?
Sure.
There's a lot of stuff, a lot of layers, a lot of different things you do to make that happen. And I've always loved that. I've always loved creating in Photoshop and doing stuff like that. So
now, one of the things, since kind of jumping on YouTube, I've had to teach myself how to edit, how to make a thumbnail, and I'm not great at it by any means. I've gotten better, over time, but there's a lot of work that goes into that. So you say, or you do most of the stuff like that for the defects?
I do like a lot of the graphic stuff. Matt is the big editor because one, he's just amazing with computers, and he's opened up a lot of his skill level now to different things, being on the computer all the time. Like that's all he does, and he does that for work and everything like that too. So he does a lot of our editing and doing all the stuff with the video stuff and everything like that. So he's phenomenal. We all have our own pieces that bring us together, which that's what makes it work.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. Let's make that this question 4 is one of the things that I've realized. I've had Jay on, I've had Matt on, now I've got you, and I mean, I've watched your guys' channel. I'm a defect, right? Like I watch your guys' channel. I know who you guys are. Like it was a big thrill for me, just to be sitting here with you is a huge thrill for me. But one of the things that I realized after interviewing the first, Matt and Jay, is like you guys have an insane following. And what I mean by that is, Matt or you or whoever shares those interviews on your YouTube channel boom. I mean, instantly the views shoot up. I'm getting a bunch of comments. I'm getting new, subscribers. I'm getting all these things. And then I watch your lives. Dude, you guys have as many people on your lives as people with 10 times the subs that you guys have, and you'll have more, people on a live than they will. Like, what do you think that's all about? Like,
listen, that's where we thrive. We love doing videos. We love bringing content. These guys are, Matt and Jay, the way they think is just unbelievable. And they think like 10 steps ahead. It's almost like chess. Like they're thinking 10 steps ahead. When someone's going left, they're going right. That's what we always say. We're going in a different direction than a lot of people. But I think we thrive on the live because I believe that I think the defects love how, and I know it sounds funny, but we've been calling the defects since day one too. Like, and everyone laughed at us. You're calling your people that watch you defects. I go, yeah, because they're the defects. We're all the defects. That's the whole point. And we're so real when we do it. I think that's the difference. I think, we don't sugarcoat things. Let's put it out there. We're not the, what's the word? We're not the, your grandma's channel. You know what I'm saying? Like it's,
sure.
So we're very upfront. We're not mean about it at all. We're three dudes that have their own opinions. We all have different opinions too. Sometimes we agree. Sometimes we get upset. Sometimes we yell at each other. But you know what? At the end, we're family and we're bringing real stuff to real people. And I think that's what everyone appreciates. That we're so real about it.
That's what I was going to say. It is, and for people who don't know this, who've never talked to you one-on-one, the way you guys are on the channel is the way you are, like in one of these interviews. You are who you are. You guys have phenomenal chemistry.
Yeah.
As far as like you're friends, you get along, you bust each other's chops. It's, it's fun. You all three have very distinct roles on the channel, in my opinion. Like there's very defined roles as far as what you bring to the table. But it has blown my mind because, dude, I've interviewed a lot of big channels. Like on this 10 questions, I've been very, very blessed and lucky to interview some of the biggest creators out there. And sure. I've never seen the impact than when I have interviewed you guys. I've just, as far as the defects coming out and supporting what you all do, it's phenomenal, man. Y'all should be applauded for that.
And it's not us. It's not us, man. That's what it is. It's the people. It's the people. It's I don't want to sit here and take credit. We're just doing what we love. And again, I think when you bring real to the table, people notice that. And we can't be thankful more than, we try and show our thanks all the time to everyone out there that comes. Sometimes we have 200 people on a live chat.
Yeah, it's insane.
And it's crazy, but we love doing it. We love doing it. People love what we do, and we're happy we have the platform and we found it. I want to sit here and say COVID was amazing for us. Obviously, it brought us the defects. So,
no, absolutely, man. I said it's one of the things that, the reason I started my channel was to prove something to my kids. I've talked about that many, many times on here. I've always taught my kids you can do anything you want. You just got to have the guts to do it and willing to put the work in. And I was talking to them about YouTube, and they're like, "Oh no, we couldn't do a YouTube channel." And I said, "Well, if you guys won't do it, I'll do it. I'll show you that you can do it. I'm a 46-year-old guy who is a nerd and likes comic books, and I'm gonna do a comic book channel, and I'll show you can do it." And what it ended up being was so much more. Like I had the time during COVID to, I was home all the time, working from home, or doing the stuff that that we were doing. And I developed this entire community of people that I had no clue I needed.
Don't you love that?
Oh, I love it. So, I know you guys have to feel the same way. It's just, there's just crazy community of people that are just like you who dig what you're doing. And there's something very, very satisfying about that.
From what it's become to where it's going is amazing. And we're just, at this point, we're just enjoying the ride.
Have you guys been shocked by the success? How fast your subscriber count's grown?
Oh yeah. No, we didn't expect this. We were having fun, man. We're having fun. If you go back and look at the first video that me and Matt taped, and it's up in my attic. We're just shooting this shit. I was like, he goes, I'm gonna open up the books. You want to do it at your house? And I'm like, all right. I go, what do you mean open up the books? He's like, oh, I got the submissions from CGC, and I got this, and I got this, and I got. I'm like, Matt, slow down. Can I curse on here? I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
I go, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I go, I have no idea what CGC is. I don't know what. I never graded books. Come on.
You read them, right?
Let's be real. I didn't grade anything. So I was like, I was never in part of this for investment. My whole attic is filled with comics because I won't get rid of shit. Matt yells at me all the time. And I'm the idiot that doesn't sell anything. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Oh, I love it. No, so I want to move on to this question. And again, it's just kind of focusing on the defects and some of the cool things that you all been able to do. And you guys recently had your very, very first cover appearance on a comic book. It was a Vampirella book. Like, kind of walk me through how that came about. Like, who did the art? Like, how did that all even begin?
So little crazy. But we obviously, in doing this, we talk to a lot of people. And you get to know a lot of people, and you make connections like anything else. It's just like business at that point, because there's a side of it that's the business side, that sure. Now because we've grown so much and because we're going where we're going, we need to think about these things. We need to think about where the money goes. We need to think about where again, the reality of it. And the connections you make is the crazy part. Like, I never in a million years did I think we'd be on the cover of a comic book. Come on, who thinks that? Where does that come from? You're like sitting there going, yeah, I'm going to be on the front of a comic book one day with these two momos. No.
Life goals. It's a life goal for me.
I'm going to write it down. Now I'm going to start writing stuff down. So thank you. There you go. But no, it's amazing the people you meet and the stuff and the connections you get because of it. Obviously, Dynamite made that happen for us. Nick Barucci. It was awesome. Blackie Shepherd did the art on it. Cullen Bunn did the writing on it. It was a book that was already out, obviously. Vampirella vs. the Reanimator. It was a reissue of it. The artwork that he did was crazy. I mean, he did a great depiction of us. He knows I'm scared shitless of the horror stuff, and if you watch our show, you know I am. So it's like I'm front and center running away from this girl, like obviously when we should be running towards her, honestly. But it's, he did a great job with it. If you look at the books, and I know the defects are going to be getting them soon, so there was a whole thing with the paper shortage and stuff like that, but we got ours. We're happy to have ours in house, and the defects, everyone who supported will get theirs soon, which is we're excited about. Can't wait to see people showing those off. But like, it's crazy. I've had people reach out to me that, can you guys sign it if we send it to you? And we're like, what? Like, yeah. I'm like, you want me to sign a book? I mean, I've been practicing my signature for years now, but I never thought it would be real. So it's going to be fun when we're at cons and everything like that. That's going to be the fun part, if people come up to us and, yeah, sure, I'll sign it. Great.
So, like, but how does that even come about? Like, did you reach out to Dynamite? Did Dynamite reach out to you guys? Like, how does something like that even happen?
Just in talks with everything, and they reached out to us, obviously seeing the kind of popularity that was growing and growing and growing, which is great. Just throwing it out there, we raised a lot of money, and there was bigger channels that do some of these things that didn't raise. Again, in your discussion before about how many people and the defects that come out to support, it's crazy who shows up, and it's amazing. Our fans and our defects, all of our fellow community members who show up and showed up to make this a success was bonkers. We never thought it would be like this, and they did a great job. We can't wait to see what's next, and obviously we got things in the works, that. So
oh, absolutely. No, and it's really cool. And and I think what I liked about it, because I've seen these other covers, like, there's other people who have had these different covers done. You all are on the freaking cover. I mean, this is you.
That's the crazy part. We didn't think people were going to buy it. We're like, wait a minute. We're going to be on the cover. Like maybe just her. Yeah, sure. With our logo on the back or something like that. But no, we're on the cover and people are buying this thing. So you know what? Yeah. let's just say I have one at CGC, so this way they can get it. It's I'm gonna have it forever. So
I've never been a huge bucket list person necessarily. Like I said, I've been very blessed to be able to do a lot of things in my life. But if I ever do create a bucket list, then being on a comic book is going towards the top of that list. Like, I mean, that has to be one of the coolest things ever.
That's a good list then. I like that.
Yeah. All right. So let's jump into this question. I'm not even sure what question I'm on right now. I'm having so much fun, I lost track of what question I was on. So the next question, though, is I know you're a big nostalgia guy, okay? And I am too. And really 80s and 90s nostalgia, right? So, and I know you're very much the same way. We're similar age and kind of came up around the same time of pop culture. So, like when I say 80s, 90s nostalgia to Guy Fawkes, what immediately comes to your mind?
Wow. Back to the Future? I don't know why that jumped out at me.
Yeah, no, Back to the Future, absolutely. He-Man jumps out to me.
Top Gun. See, you said these things and movies jump out at me. You see what happened there?
Yeah.
That's like right away, that's where my mind goes. I've always said, and me and Matt in talking about it, and Jay too, I think, I'm movies first, comics second.
Sure.
That's where my mind goes, because you put a good movie on and I get lost, man. I can go through a top 10 of movies. We can go through that. That may be another discussion another day, buddy.
No, let's do it right now. Let's talk about like from the 80s and 90s. Let's talk about the movies, because like I get excited too, because I'm a movie buff. Maybe not quite the movie buff that you are, but I am definitely 80s and 90s. That's I would run to the DVDs or the movie store, the rental store, like back in the day. They used to have these. Yeah, they used to have these kids. We didn't have Blockbuster. We had I
didn't have Blockbuster either. So.
Yeah, we had a little mobile home trailer sitting on the side of the road that rented awesome. That rented them. So I would run out and grab the movie. I remember renting Bloodsport. And it was a VCR. It wasn't even DVDs at the time. No, it was VCR tapes. Kids in the old days, children, if you're watching this, back in the day, there was this thing called a VCR, and you had to rewind it.
No one knows what that is.
No, nobody even knows what that is now. But so Back to the Future definitely jumps out to me. What's another one for you?
Yeah. Again, my favorite movie of all time is Godfather.
So yes.
I'm a big Pacino fan. Huge.
Now,
Pacino
are you a
fan.
Godfather 1 or 2? Like 3's okay, but I'm more of a 1. I'm more of a 2.
So this is where I've watched it. Francis Ford Coppola did the epic. It was a box set of The Godfather that I think it was 3 or 4 tapes. My uncle gave it to me at a young age, and it was the tapes in order though. So it went in chronological order. So you watched 2 before you watched 1 because of the flashbacks. It was a weird set. So I mean, yeah, I love 2. But 1 is like, that's Godfather 1 is I love it.
No, 1 is the pinnacle, I think. 2, though, like I love 2. I love De Niro. And so, De Niro I was a big fan of his, and then, you got a lot of Pacino, but yeah, Godfather 1 is one of the dopest ones. Let's do one more. What's one more that comes to mind?
Wow. I love A Few Good Men.
Yes, that's another great one. That's another great.
So I think this is how I rank my movies. If I'm watching something and I'm flicking through, let's say I'm on just cable, flicking through. I know not a lot of people watch cable anymore. Everyone's on streaming stuff. But if I'm flipping through cable and I see a movie on, there's like a top 5 movies that like I will not turn it off. Like that stops me. The Godfather is on, I'm watching it.
Yep.
A Few Good Men is on, I'm watching it. Shawshank Redemption is on, I'm watching it. So there's some movies, and it's not all serious movies, guys. My Cousin Vinny's on, I'm stopping, I'm watching it.
Absolutely.
So like there's movies that just do it to me, that like, you know what, there's no way. And I'm a bit Coming to America is on, I'm watching it. Like I grew up watching that movie. Like this is and my kids are the same way, and I'm so happy. Like I couldn't have asked for anything more. That my kids love movies. Like I sit there and we watch movies together, and it's the greatest feeling in the world, man.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I said my girls they enjoy watching movies as well. Like I said, when we were growing up, they would watch stuff with me all the time. And like we had a thing one winter we got snowed in, right? So we were snowed in, and so we watched all the Marvel movies in chronological order. Kind
Oh
of like what you,
wow.
yeah, kind of like what you were talking about with the Godfather, how they did it, two first. We
Yeah.
kind of did the exact same thing. We just did it in chronological order, and we watched them all over probably a week. Like we had a massive snowstorm, couldn't get out, and so that's what we did. And so I enjoy that too. Watching movies with my kids. Yeah, I know. And every movie that you just named, hands down, if they're on, I'm going to watch it. Now, do you have a guilty pleasure movie? Like, now I'll tell you what mine is, okay? And I don't
Yeah.
tell many people this, and this is a fairly recent movie.
Good.
It's called Fool's Gold. Matthew
Fool's Gold with
McConaughey,
Matthew McConaughey and
Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson. Great movie.
Dude, that is like, if that comes on, something about the music in that movie, and then Kate Hudson is nice to look at.
Come on.
I like
It's a
McConaughey's
good.
nice to look at. I
It's a
enjoy.
good. I think you guys have a similar accent. That's why.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, he's got that southern accent like I do. So
Maybe you put yourself in the movie. I see what you're doing. I see what you're
and I
doing.
do.
It's all right.
What can I say? But no, that's my guilty pleasure movie. Like, I don't tell a lot of people I watch it, but when it's on, I watch it every time.
Nothing wrong with that. You've Got Mail
Okay.
with
No, it's a
Tom
good movie.
Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, right? That's got to be a guilty pleasure movie. Like it's not like it's like a romance movie. It really is. It's like another When Harry Met Sally kind of thing.
Sure.
So it's a great movie. It's a feel good movie, and it's Tom Hanks. Who's that? Tom Hanks is in my top 10. So
No, absolutely. No, Castaway is another movie that I like to watch of Hanks's, and I don't know why, but I love to watch Castaway.
I could watch it. I could watch it. I just it not a movie I'm gonna stop on. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I could watch it. You want to laugh? I like his. I like The Terminal. Right, that was him.
Yeah, The Terminal's a good one. Yeah.
He did a great job in that movie.
Very cool. All right. So now I want to, for just a second, kind of a little more serious subject, and it's something I'm interested to know a little more about.
Sure.
And that is, I believe it's called Pauli's Fund. It's for children's cancer research, I believe. And
Sure.
I know that you are fairly, you're involved in that quite a bit. Can you talk to me a little bit first, A, what the fund is exactly, and then B, like how your involvement in it came about?
Yeah. So the Pauli Strong Foundation is the name of the foundation that you're talking about. It's yeah, hard to talk about obviously, but it's a my friend Paul Jimenez, who I've known. I work in the auto industry, and I got to know Paul probably over 20 years ago, and we just hit it off. Like, nice guy, down to earth guy, funny guy. So we just kind of connected, and it was, he used to come in all the time, and we did a lot of stuff with his company back and forth. So we got to spend, here and there together, and found out that he lives local, blah, blah, blah. So long story short, I've known him a long time. He lost his son, Pauli, 10 years old, to pediatric cancer. And it happened rather quickly. We all have losses, and we all have different things. I connected with it. Obviously, I didn't have any kids at the time. But I knew him, and obviously I wanted to support him in any way I could. His son pretty much started the foundation with him. Obviously, he wanted to make shirts and sell them while he was sick. And they made shirts and started selling them, and it just went on from there. Obviously, the foundation has grown tremendously because of all his hard work and all his family's hard work, and honestly, all the people that support him, all their work. So it's an amazing organization. Like I said, the form of cancer that I'll never pronounce it correctly. So, but the form of cancer was rapid, and it moved rather quickly, and no one in the world should go through what they went
No.
through. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what I would do. At the same point, you sit there, and until you're faced with something like this, you don't know how you would react. He reacted in a way where I think is the most amazing thing for a father to do. And he wants his son's name to live on. He wants to show him, what they can accomplish. They've raised so much money. I think it's over $2 million now. Don't quote me,
Oh
but it's
wow.
somewhere. Um, they do golf outings. Obviously, we haven't been to a golf outing in a couple of years now because of this, but I've always been involved in their golf outings. They do a Lego drive, which we will do again this year with the Defects. We did it last year, and it was amazing how the community showed up. We did everything online, so you can purchase the Legos, and they will send them directly to Sloan Kettering in Manhattan. So the couple of years ago, before we did it online, we did it at my dealership, and we filled up the back of a truck with Legos.
Wow.
It was the coolest thing. We had people coming, and we had different setups, and they had different drop off points and stuff like that. But we were a drop off point, which was phenomenal for me to be part of that, because all my clients came in, family members, friends. They were just dropping Legos like crazy, and you know how expensive Legos are.
Oh yeah.
If you're a parent, I mean, I have a room full of Legos that I can probably send my kid to college already because of how many Legos are there. It's not a a cheap thing, and people showed up, and this is something where it's amazing when people show up. We talked about that before. This is showing up in a different way, and it was amazing. But we got all those Legos, brought them to his house, put them in 3 different cars, and actually Maddie came with me the one year, and we went down to Manhattan to drop these off in front of Sloan Kettering to the nurses that were there, and that was just an amazing feeling. I'm getting goosebumps just talking
I
about
am
it, because
too. Yeah.
to be able to do that and to give back and to help these kids, which they can't help themselves. If you don't know anything about the cancer center, Sloan Kettering, they can't have toys. They can't have stuff, because stuff is germs, and they can't have germs and dirtiness around there. So they have to have new things. So you can't like donate, like, I'm going to get a box of toys from my house and bring it somewhere like you do in other things. I'm hoping we all do that. But yeah, my kids are done with toys. We create boxes and we bring them somewhere where other people can use them, because there's always people who are not as well off as you're going to be. There's always someone who's struggling more, and it's always, for me, that's the way I was taught. It's always good to give back
Absolutely.
when you can. But these kids, Legos are a big part of what helps them. It takes their mind off of the treatments they're going through, and it's a wonderful thing, and I'm happy to be a part of it and happy to help where I can. I wish I can do more. Believe me, that's all I can say. It's a beautiful thing. He has a beautiful family, and I wish him anything I can do for him. I'm there. I'm there for it.
That's awesome, man. No, and I wanted to commend you for it. My wife and I, I lost my dad to cancer. The uncle that I talk about all the time that got me into all these different hobbies I'm into, collecting comic books and trading cards and things like that, he died from cancer. My wife's mom passed away from cancer. And a lot of the philanthropic work that my wife and I do is strictly around different cancer, research. And I knew through the Defects and through watching you guys that you were pretty involved in that. And I wanted to ask you about it. And I appreciate you sharing the story with me, because none of those stories are, it's just not easy to talk about, because you're right. It's very sad.
No.
I'm sitting here just thinking about my dad and my uncle and my mother-in-law now. And then to lose a child to something like that has to be devastating.
That's the crazy part. I think we can all go down a list, and a couple years ago, I recently lost my grandfather, which was a hard thing. All of a sudden, he was sick, and then it moves fast. It's not, it's got no what's the word? It'll take down anybody.
Oh yeah, there's
for less of a word. Thank you.
It does not discriminate. Yeah.
Doesn't discriminate. It's a horrible thing, and but when it happens to a kid, I have no. Again, it's just a hard thing. It's a hard thing, but it's a reality, and where we can help. Once again, I'm happy to help.
That's awesome, dude. Like I said, you should be commended for your work there, and the Defects and the Defects community. I know I've heard you talk about the Lego Drive before and what a big deal that is. So again, thank you. I didn't want to bring the vibe down, but it was
No,
something that I think is important to talk about.
I agree.
Because it
That's a
affects
great.
everybody.
It's a great question, and sometimes it's you have to ask the hard questions too, right? So
Absolutely. So there's no good way to segue out of that, but we will attempt to.
sure.
And I figured out where I was at on my questions. I'm on question
Okay.
9 because I've bounced all over the
Woo!
place. Um, Outside of comic books, like I said, you're a movie buff guy, but I know that you have a pretty decent Funko Pop collection. So what other kind of stuff what kind of other stuff do you collect?
I think when you're a collector, you collect a lot of shit, right?
I collect everything. Jesus, I have a problem. Like I really
I
do.
do.
Like we
I
could
do.
have
I
a
do.
therapy session right now.
I think my wife knows I have a problem too. So I collect a lot of stuff. I mean, I can go down the line. I have a lot of DVDs. Let's put it that way, because obviously movies are my thing. But I have Funkos because they're fun. That's just the word is there. They're a lot of fun. They're I see one that I like and I'm like, oh, do I got to buy another one? Like I fight myself all the time on it, but I'm like, this is just cool. It's fun. Yeah. And my kids love them. Again, it goes back to them. I use them as an excuse
Of course.
because I'm like, but babe, he wanted this.
Well, why is it
So
in your room?
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I have a Black Panther helmet. I have a Mjolnir. I have real samurai swords. I got about 6 of
That's
them.
awesome.
I don't know. I went to Spain one year. I never traveled anywhere. When I graduated college and started working and had kind of like my own money, I went with my best friend. We went on a couple trips because he was a teacher and he said, "Do you want to come with me?" He goes, "It's a discounted rate and you get to go out of the country." And I'm like, "Hell yeah." So like I went to Italy for the first trip I ever took on a plane anywhere. And then I went to Spain the next year and I went to a sword factory in Spain. And yeah, you're damn right. I got a sword. Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got like a Hattori Hanzo. Like that's like it's sick. It's ridiculous. The bottom of the handle is a dragon and it comes off and there's a knife inside. Like, come on.
That makes
Like,
me so happy. Yeah.
yeah, of course I got it. Like that was I watched them make it. Like, so very cool. Like, like I think I just collect a lot of shit. I do. But it's fun. It's fun. And I look at my 2 sons every day and I go, this shit will be yours one day. So,
Yeah.
be
One day this
thankful.
is all yours. My girls are like, what am I going to do with all these comic books and basketball cards? Because like I like to collect autographs,
Oh, nice.
and I don't know why necessarily, but I was always kind of drawn to that. And so like growing up in the 90s, like I said, my uncle sold at flea markets, right? So he sold ball cards, he sold comic books, he'd sell knives, he'd sell tools, whatever. If he could make $1 on it, he would sell it. But there was a time there in the 80s and 90s where ball cards it was kind of like right now. It was everywhere. And so ball cards have always been a love of mine, right? And I'm obviously from Kentucky, if you can't tell. And so I have to collect, like I had to, like stretch down my collecting to just Kentucky guys. Like I will collect Kentucky NBA guys, Kentucky football guys in the league, NFL.
Okay.
That's what I collect, and I generally collect patch autos. Where you get a piece of their jersey and their autograph.
I'm new to that. I actually just started seeing those and I never saw those before. So because I have a whole thing of cards too.
Oh yeah,
So
no, I have cards. Look, in the 90s, they made so many baseball cards. I mean, it's unreal. Similar to comic books. I mean, it was very much the same idea. I think, both things happened to comics and to trading cards. They just printed the shit out of them.
correct.
And, so what are you going to do? But it's still that nostalgia part for me. I Funko Pop, same thing. I've limited my Funko Pop collection to getting things that I get autographed. Like when I went to C2E2, I got a Peacemaker Funko Pop autographed by John Cena.
That's awesome.
I got an Anakin Skywalker pop autographed by Hayden Christensen. So that's kind of limited my collecting to that. Comic books are as much about reading for me as they are anything.
I got one autograph Funko Pop. And I think that's a different rabbit hole that I probably won't start going down because I sit there and I go, my one Funko autograph pop is probably the greatest thing I can have in my collection. It's a Danny LaRusso signed by Ralph Macchio.
I've got one right there.
Do you?
Right there. And I have a Johnny
Oh, man.
Lawrence.
See, that's the one I got. I have to get the Johnny Lawrence, right?
Well, I had this thing. It's called Zobi, Zobi Productions. They do this thing called the V Shout, and they had the guy William Sabaka. They had him, and I have a video of him saying, "Hey Jimmy, thanks for sending your Funko Pop.
That's awesome.
Strike hard. Like it's a V shout. It's in one of my videos somewhere. I posted it in.
That's
I might
cool.
send it to you. It's really cool. And
That's cool.
And I got that autographed by him. And then some reason they had this sale on these Funko Pops, and Ralph Macchio was one of them. And I think I ended up paying like $70 for it or something like that.
That's what I got mine for.
Yeah,
that's funny. That's funny. I got mine up in Lake George, New York.
But no, like Cobra Kai is like the greatest thing ever. My wife we were watching it the other night. She said, "This is the cheesiest thing I've ever watched." I said, "I know, it's awesome, isn't it?"
But it doesn't get any better than that, honestly.
It's so good.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's so good.
Yeah, it's so terrible. It's great. I said, I love it. I love the cheesiness, the 80s, 90s of it. I just think it's so good. And Williams Zabaka in that. Johnny Lawrence is, to me, he makes the show.
Yeah. From the beginning, how they twisted it and they made him look like the good guy. I was like,
yeah.
This show's going to be freaking great.
Yeah. So was there any, I kind of think back to my childhood as far as like shows, the movies like Karate Kid, but Jimmy shows, like I remember WKRP in Cincinnati. We used to watch that. We used to watch the Jeffersons, Archie Bunker.
I love the Jeffersons. I never understood how not even Archie Bunker. So Archie Bunker was a crazy show. If you look back on it, right? It tackled a lot of stuff before anyone tackled it.
That's right. It did.
They had no filter, which was amazing for back then. Sanford and Son. I never realized how funny Sanford and Son was until I was an adult. I used to watch my dad laugh at it, and I'm like, but why is this funny? Dude, when you watch it now, I'm like, this Red Fox is a genius.
Yeah, he is. It holds up.
Dude. So many things come back. I mean, obviously being young, I'm a little bit younger than you. I won't say I'm a little bit, that's all. But like the cartoons is what's, I was big into like Transformers and Thundercats, and like Saturday morning cartoons was I used to make the excuse all the time because our house was right next door to our diner. Mm-hmm. Like, like a couple 100 feet away. Like that's the way it was up there. So my dad, Saturday mornings, we didn't have school. So it was like he expected us to be at work early. So we would get up early, and like I would go to the couch with like a Tupperware full of cereal, and like I'd sit on the couch and watch cartoons, and he would call and he's like, are you coming to work? And I'm like, it would be the funniest thing, make him believe I was asleep. I go, there's no way. Now that I look back on it, I'd answer the phone. I'd be like, hello? Like, there's no way he believed I was asleep. He goes, I can see you through the window watching TV. He's like, get over here. I'm like, it's worth a try.
Yeah, I had to try that. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
Well, no, for me too, like the G.I. Joe, Thundercats, He-Man.
G.I. Joe too, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of, like, I have started for whatever reason. I don't know. My mind bounces all over the place as far as what I want, but I decided I wanted to get all the Wave 1 He-Man figures. Ooh. The original He-Man figures. So I've got them all now. Except
I'm not going down there either. So I'm not going there.
No, I'm reliving my youth in a big, big way.
I stuck to the 10-inch He-Man figures on the Pops.
Oh yeah, those are cool though.
I have Skeletor. I have He-Man. I have Beastman, and I have who is it? Lockjaw.
Lockjaw, yeah.
Lockjaw, yeah. I have those 4 in the 10-inch ones. They're pretty, and the kids love them. So like
No, those are cool. Like it's been all I can do. My LCS got in a bunch of Pops the other day, and it was all G.I. Joe, and it was all I could do not to buy them. Like I had to drag myself out of the store. I was like, Jesus Christ, I just don't need to go down this deep. Let's stick to getting them autographed, pal.
I saw Shipwreck, and I had to buy it the other day.
Oh, that's so awesome. So great. All right, question 10, and this is one of my favorite questions to ask.
Oh boy.
And it's just, are you into music at all? Like, do you dig music of any kind? Like, is there an era that, like, Jay and I were talking, and he and I really kind of match up on music because I'm a huge Metallica fan, GNR, ACDC, Foo Fighters, that kind of music. Do you anything for you like that?
I love music. I love music, man. I love music. I listen to music all the time, and you know what? It's such a cool thing that my kids love music too. Again, I go back to that because it's such a fun thing to share and to be able to share with your kids. Like I walked in the other day and I'm getting ready, and now it's easy to Alexa play this and blah blah blah. Like so. The other day, I don't want to say it too loud, then they're going to start playing music through the house. So sorry. But I heard them the other day, and I walk in, and they're listening to the Beatles, and I'm like, I sat there, I walked away, and I go, I did something right. I did something right.
Absolutely. Look, there's two things in my mind that if my girls become, fans of this, then I have won. I've done my job. Well, really three things that I kind of say. A, they eat their steaks medium to medium rare. Two, they're Kentucky athletics fans, basketball primarily, because when you're born in Kentucky, you come out, they put the Big Blue Nation onesie on you, and you're a part of it. And then three, as long as they have good taste in music, I'll feel like I've won. And it's funny that you said the Beatles, because on Disney Plus, that documentary came out, that Let It Be, have you seen that?
I didn't watch it yet.
Oh, dude, you got to watch it. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, that's what's his name did that, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Jackson, right? What's his name?
I'm not sure.
The director.
Oh, Peter Jackson. Yeah,
Peter
Lord of the
Jackson.
Rings.
Yeah.
No, look, it's insane. You sit there and watch them, and the genius of the Beatles, and you watch McCartney essentially write some of their best songs right before they broke up.
Crazy.
And you watch them, their last performance right before they broke up. And it was one of the dopest things. And my oldest daughter just happened to sit down beside me, and she was like, this is really good. So now, because I have to run my daughters a lot, right? My wife, one goes one way and I go the other.
Sure.
And my oldest daughter, I have just in my route, it just kind of works that we're together. But she's listening to the Beatles. My youngest daughter the other day got in the car and started playing Kiss. And I was like, what are you doing? That's awesome.
Awesome.
How did you find out about Beth?
Nice.
Yeah. So it's really dope, man. And you're right. It is a very, very cool thing to be able to share with your kids that kind of music.
It is. But I'm all over the place too. So as far as quality of music and things, like I'll listen from the Beatles to Elvis Presley to Michael Jackson to Biggie, like you know what I'm saying? Like I'm all over the place. I don't discriminate. I don't discriminate on music. There's so much different music out there that's good. There's so much crap out there too. So you got to like just go through the weeds. But if you know what you're doing and you're like Queen, like oh my God,
oh my goodness,
man! Like I can put a record on and put Queen on and be there for hours. Like it's just
no, absolutely.
It's fun, again, it's fun to get the records back out and the kids love it. So.
Well, that's what I've talked about on here a few times. My youngest daughter is kind of an old soul. She's a collector too. Like I didn't realize it. My oldest daughter could care less, but my youngest daughter is a collector at heart. She's mine. And so she is into vinyl.
Nice.
And we bought her a record player for Christmas, but she didn't want like a new record player. She wanted a vintage record player, like an old school record player. And I don't know where this comes from, which I dig that stuff. And she's around me and I kind of like that stuff.
Cool.
But we'll go to thrift shops or things like that. We'll grab a few albums. We'll come home. We go up into her room. We sit around. We listen to the music and we talk. And we've bonded a great deal doing that. And it's just I couldn't ask for more.
That's cool. And I searching for comics too and going to like yard sales and going to different things. Like I pick up records whenever I can. I think me and Matt went to go look at. I think it was me and Matt. I think we went to go look at this this collection this guy had, and it was terrible. I mean, it wasn't It was in the garage. It wasn't like, even what he was asking for. It was like, you know what, let's not waste his time. Let's not waste it. But he had records there, and he's like, oh, if you want to take some of these, go ahead, just take them. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, just take them. I found Grease, like the original LP, and I was like, dude, this thing's probably worth something. I go, I found like old Italian records, and I was like, this is awesome. I go, my mother, Jimmy Roselli. I go, my mother's gonna love this. I go, I took whatever was there. I found West Side Story, like all different things, and the Nutcracker, like things that like I'll play these at some point in my life, and the kids will love it, and we'll have fun. My wife is a big theater girl, so they get that aspect from her too, which is great, and they sing all the time, so it's a lot of fun to share that.
No, that's very cool. And I think one of the things that this younger generation is going to miss out on, and I don't know that I even realized it, I guess I'm just appreciating it more now, is the album covers themselves. They're works of art.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just so cool.
Yeah, I mean, in the 90s, I think they concentrated on that because of all like the CDs and all the sleeves that were in there, even the tape decks. Like now we're going, even back further, but it's who knows what a tape deck is,
right? Listen, I laugh all the time. My daughters, are like, give me the aux cord. I said, do you realize? I feel like the old guy, like, I had to walk through the snow to school. I feel like that guy. But I had a
uphill both ways.
Right. Yeah. But I had a compact disc player that plugged into my lighter, that I had to put a CD in. I had this big book of, CDs, the big folder, the big holder of all the CDs.
Did you ever have, here's the question. You ready for this? Did you ever have the wire connected to the tape deck that the tape went in the thing? And that's how you connected the thing to the car.
Yep, 100%.
That was crazy. Talk about technology.
Oh, that just blows my mind. I said to think back on that, just really, because I tell them, they're like, give me the aux cord. That's all you got to do. I was like, look, I had to pop a tape in here. I had to hook the thing into my cigarette lighter. Then I had to hope it didn't skip. I had to set a thing up here on my dash. I thought I was the coolest person ever.
Oh, my God.
Good stuff, man. I love it. So, dude, that's 10 questions. That's it. I've had an absolute blast. I hope you've had a good time. That was a lot of fun.
Me too. And I really think, like, you know what? I grabbed this beer because I was like, I just got to grab this because I want to hear him say it. And this just seems like you should say it.
Sweet baby Jesus.
I mean, you say it better than me. So.
I love it. That's what I love about the Defects. We've both got, distinguishable accents. I've got this, which I tell people, funny story, nobody cares about this, but I'm going to tell you, and it just came to my mind. Yeah. So in my business, I do a lot of deals with people in New York City and some of these bigger, cities across Chicago, just big places. Anyway, so I'll call and I'll say, hey, this is Jimmy Kerr. And they'll say, Jamie. And I'm like, no, Jimmy, Jimmy. Are you sure you said Jamie? I said, no, I said Jimmy. Like, what do you want me to do, people? That's just how I talk.
Yeah, we say Jimmy a little different, but yeah, that's fine.
Oh, no, but that just came to my mind. Yeah, no, but look, dude, I've had an absolute blast. Guys, if you're watching this and you don't know who the Defects are, you go over and check them out. One of the best live shows out there. Like, these guys tear it up. It's just it'll get off the rails quick, and that's when that happens. Those are the best shows. So
I agree.
Guy, thank you so much, man. I really, really do appreciate it. I'll link all Guy's stuff down in the description below, along with the Defects. Make sure you go check these cats out if you're not already. They are the absolute best. Guy, thanks again, man, for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it, my man.
No, it's been a ball, man. All right, guys, that's it. That's been 10 questions.